No, that's one I sent She didn't say what she said. It wasn't serious. Uh, Sylvia. Well, starting. Uh, yeah. Fine.
Stuff I wrote stuff I wrote down over the phone. Okay.
Check with her. Have her.
I know. Then Lou gave me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we go so way back.
Good morning, Marlon.
CC. What's that called? CCAC. CW. IW. This is kind of good to see your face.
Yeah.
He gave me. I got this. You raised me. You and Ray, you and Ray raised me. At least 1,000. Okay.
let's see, around 48, maybe 300.
What was, why was Shannon?
She didn't say, because she's asked me twice, and I told her I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, $1,000. Trying to get.
That's for me to play with.
Well, that's what I tried to tell her, it's not our decision.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if it's because she's trying to arrange it corporate, so at the end of May. Told her several times at the end of May. All we had was the plan. Still don't.
Leon's coming. And I want to give him some. Amount, right? So I know that
Your WOC.
How you doing, Marvin? Good, good. Sure enjoying my fresh wine, a little bit of the bottle.
Doesn't it work nice?
It's great.
You know?
But when I put a new cartridge in, I mean, I don't trust myself.
intro, and I start, I don't always just play the one chord, but I'll play a phrase, and then they'll sing. Okay. Yeah, well, we don't do the birthday version.
Good morning, Julian. I got her on my phone.
Yeah, I'll be glad to put the letter, yes. The
Yeah,
letter.
yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
No, I saw my issue.
Yeah, we'll make it clear. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's a little past time as we're getting organized. We do have a quorum, and we'll have one brief chord introducing our patriotic song. Miss Harriet? Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber ways of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. A reminder about the cell phones, please. Our own Miss Betty Lou is out of pocket this morning, and so we called upon Miss Patsy Kittliner to introduce our reflection speaker. Miss Patty.
Betty Lou called me at 7:15, says, yes, you gotta do it, so here I am. Today we are honoring Linda Teague. Now, Linda is a well-known person from Leon High School. I don't know how many of you know that the current Leon High School was built in 1937. How many of you remember the WPA? They're the ones that built the current Leon High School. Now, Linda's grandmother, her mother, and then Linda came along and spent 36 years at Leon. Now, Linda's grandmother and mother had already taught there, so Linda had been there 36. She was the head of student government. She taught advanced placement psychology, world history, took students to Europe several times in the summer. I know how she felt about that because my husband Ray did the same thing. Go to take 20 kids to Europe for 6 weeks. You're glad to get home. She wrote a book for the history of Leon called The Lion's Pride. As you know, Leon Lions. Linda received the Fulbright Teaching Scholar in Malise and New Zealand. She was honored 3 times in Florida as the Student Government Advisor. the Florida Teacher of the Year, the Leon High School Teacher of the Year. How fortunate we are to have her here with us, Linda Teague.
Good morning. I'll have to say I wasn't around in 1937 when Leon was built, but Leon became my home, obviously, for being all those years, and Patsy's husband, Ray, was there also, and he was phenomenal in the music program. But in teaching psychology, I got to know my students really well, and I used to joke with them that we would discuss everything from the womb to the tomb, which we did, and probably today I would have been fired. But at the end of the year, and we got to be pretty close in those classes, I would always read them this poem and give them a copy of it, and it's called Desiderata. Go placidly amid the haste and noise, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and ignorant, for they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars, and you have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful and strive to be happy.
Miss Linda, words to live by. Thank you. Miss Loretta, the minutes?
Darlene today, and I understand you had previously distributed the minutes of the September 25 council meeting. Are there any additions, corrections to the minutes?
Any changes to the minutes for the 25th of October or September? Having none, a motion to accept? Second? Discussion? Anything from the audience about the minutes? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Minutes carry the approval. Mr. Marvin.
Well, I'm finally back. Thank Richard for sitting in for me. We have completed 46% of the fiscal year, and our budgeted income is around $38,235, and the total income has been $15,760, and the percent of the budgeted income achieved is 41%. As far as expenses are concerned, we've budgeted $49,492, and have only expended $5,739, which represents 12% of the budget. The general fund account balance is $78,833. The employee gift fund account balance is $114,153. And the savings account balance is $33,208 for a total of $222,194. The October end of month report will be posted on My W Life the first week in November. Any questions? Okay.
Well, thank you, Marvin. Next, we have our introduction of new residents, and I'd like to remind you all that the people that do these, the people you see up front, and the people that are presenting today, are all volunteers. They all come from you, from the ranks. So give them some consideration and think about the time they're devoting to you and to making you comfortable here at Westminster Oaks. Ms. Sandra?
Good morning. We have two residents today to introduce to you. And the first one is Carol Bernath, and she's standing right now for you. She lives at 524 Oak South. She's a native Floridian and lived in Tallahassee since 1961. She graduated from FSU with a master's in math education. That's a hard one for me. She's one of our wonderful teachers. She taught secondary school level. She's taught at the Tallahassee Community College a long time, and she also taught some part-time at FSU for combined years of 33 plus years of service there. She's traveled several years with her husband in their truck and fifth wheel. Now, I had to look up what a fifth wheel was. Maybe some of you know, but anyway, it's something that attaches. It's like an RV that attaches to a big truck, and then you can take it apart and go around. Anyway, it sounds wonderful, and I saw pictures even. She has a daughter, Shannon, who lives in Hawaii with her husband, Todd, and two granddaughters. That's a long way away. She wants you to know that she had a second marriage that brought 4 stepchildren and 9 step-grandchildren. She has been a volunteer with AARP Tax Aid. Now you know where her math comes in, and now with taxes, folks, she might even help us out. She's an avid reader, and so she would love to discuss books with you, I'm sure. Thank you. We're glad to have you. We welcome you. Now we have Reed Jaffe. And Reed lives in Oak South also at 113. He graduated with a BA in economics from the University of Cincinnati, but he lived all over in many different places. But the important thing here that I saw was his service in the Army. He was a captain in Vietnam, and he returned after that and earned a master's in health planning. In 1984, he came to Tallahassee to work in hospital regulation. And later, he was in charge of several programs to assist people with AIDS and later those with disabilities. Then following 9/11, Reed worked with the hospital preparedness and preparedness for disabled and elderly in getting them ready for any tragic circumstances. He maintained his Army Reserve status and retired a colonel after serving in numerous capacities, such as the invasion of Panama, NATO military headquarters in Belgium, the Civics Affairs portion of Bosnia Task Force. And we really thank you for your service. And there's a lot more about both of these people that will be in the WOW. And so watch for more details. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Sandra. Next, Mr. Jim.
Left eye need, but that's all right. I probably had that 1,000 times. I'd like to, first of all, introduce some members of the gift fund. We work concentrated in June, July, August, September, October, and November, but I'm chairing it with Evelyn this year. The third member of our team is probably the most important member of the team because he collects the money and counts it, deposits it, and does all the technical data that's sent to the bank that gets the checks for our employees. And that's our treasurer, Marvin. Marvin, thank you very much. I want just to go over how we do the gift fund. It's been done the same way with changes here and there over the years. Every Westminster community has a gift fund. It's an important part of the outreach program of employees helping in reach coming into the residents, helping the employees with their gifts each year. It's true the organization is only good as its team members, and that's true here at Westminster Oaks as we see them working behind the scenes, those we see and those we don't see. The annual gift fund provides us the opportunity to thank them for their service, and they provide. A very high percentage of our employees give to the gift fund, and we really appreciate that. And I know that the employees appreciate it more than ever. They tell me that they walked around and told you, so they see the importance of this gift fund. We really never assume the amount of the gift of a resident. We never assume the amount of the gift that the resident would give. We suggest a giving level in our memorandum, and we always emphasize that any gift is welcome, and it's your treasure to share, and you're sharing it with the employees. I wanted to spend a second or two, a minute, to talk about the formula, that how we determine the amount of money or funds to give each employee. The formula developed this year's campaign simplifies, in our minds, the process of distributing the gift. The formula recognizes longer-term employees who have been with us the entire year. For an employee who has been here less than 12 months, it provides a gift proportional to the amount of time they've had on the job. Thereby encouraging them, we hope, to have a long career here at Westminster to come, and the gift will increase. We distribute the money given by residents during the campaign. Only that money given during the campaign. There's also a small reserve that comes about. We cut off the campaign, we have to know how much money there is to distribute the gift. So we cut it off on November 20th, 4th, in that time frame, just before Christmas. And then money that comes in after that goes into the fund and to our reserve to be used for the next year's campaign as needed. The Residents Council provides a very small budget for supplies, envelopes, labels, and printings as needed. Costs us about $200 to do the envelopes and all that. And we have a reception when we give the gifts out, and we invite the employees and the council of the residents to that. Last year we had about 200 people at that, and it's really a joyous thing, and we hope to do that again. The gift amount to the employees is not based on the employee's salary, but simply on the number of months he's worked. Each employee, except the executive director and the assistant executive director, receives a gift. It's our hope that this formula that we developed that rewards employees for each month work will help the new employees see the value of working at Westminster Oaks. we understand that many of our residents have asked for a system that rewards the experience in our workforce. An approach has been reviewed with the executive director and the human resources director and the council this May. Our council treasurer collects the gifts, records each gift, and deposits the funds in the council's bank. That's a tremendous process when you're dealing with 350 to 400 gifts. He coordinates the calculation of each employee gift based on the data provided by human resources, and the accuracy of the gift calculation and distribution depends very highly on the data we receive. The treasurer provides this information to the council's bank for check generation. We verify his check for each employee, seal it in an envelope, and then bundle the envelopes by department. These bundles are then given to the department heads at the reception we have in November, and they give the envelopes to the individual in their unit. That's the process that we use. For example, if an employee has been here 6 months, if the gift is a certain amount, we divide it by 12 in each month, and the employee would get a gift of half of what the full-time employee gives. That's our process. I'd be more than glad to answer any questions by the council or the audience. Yes. Yeah, we don't have a goal because, we don't encourage, but we fall within a bound. We haven't fallen more than 5 or 10% in 1 year over the last 5 years I've been involved. It's approaching $200,000. It's a very significant amount considering the number of employees we have. And I think it's very important that we spend so little on getting the gift. I mean, we're less than 1/10 of 1%, which in fundraising is a miracle. Any other questions? But it's an honor for us, for 3 of us to do it. It reflects you, but we get great joy out of it. It's a lot of work, but you get used to stuffing envelopes. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Jim. Well, just to remind you what he said there, is 100% of your gift goes to the employees. The council pays those administrative fees. They're not very much, but it comes out of our budget, which you ladies support from the boutique, so you're doing it both ways. Again, remember also, the way to do this, or the reason we do this way, is because there's so many employees that you don't see. You see your housekeeper, you see the people that work in the yard, you may see a maintenance person, Chris and Tegan here in the control room, but there's so many others that you don't see, and this allows that the gift goes across all the employees. So we really appreciate your contributions. Ms. Marjorie, an update on...
I don't have anything really to add since last time. The crosswalks, the raised crosswalks are in, and I guess you've also noticed how the traffic has slowed down considerably. I had a niece visit me this weekend. She had a truck, and I said, "Did you see our crosswalk?" She said, "Not only did I see them, I felt them." She didn't see the slow sign, and so it is going to slow traffic down. On November 8th, if it doesn't rain, the artist is coming and going to paint the 3 crosswalks. And as we said last week, AARP is paying for all 3 crosswalks now. We know that will also slow traffic down further. And then on the 13th, it's scheduled for now, there will be a ribbon cutting and a press conference about them. And they're hoping to get someone down from National AARP so we can make their magazine one day. Thank you.
Yeah, special thanks to Ms. Marjorie and Mr. Bob Parker and his committee that worked so hard for, well over a year to get this done. So Things don't always move at the speed of light here at Westminster Oaks, but they do move, so please keep that in mind. Thank you, Mr. Bob. Mr. Mike Rashad.
Good morning. There will be a slide that says why I'm here. Well, I have to wait till the authorities make things happen back there first. That the wrong one? Yeah, so I'm here representing the Ad Hoc Committee on Marketing. That's a committee that includes Janet Ferris, Jody Gooding, Sonny Phillips, and me. I'm chairing that committee, and we're here to report on work we've just been asked to do and completed 2 weeks ago. We've submitted a report to council on behalf of the committee, reviewing what has been going on in marketing in the last few months. And I'd like to say, if you're not, maybe for the new people, including for me, these committees, this is an ad hoc committee, and it's not one of the standing committees. But even if you were a standing committee, as far as I understand it, the committees can do good work, make recommendations, but have no force of action. These are recommendations. We make recommendations to council. As I understand it, our work is done. And then the council does what it wishes with our report and works with administration to see what might or might not come of recommendations. And this is particularly useful piece of information for you to have as we take a look at what I'm about to report to you. So for several years, the council has been interested in marketing's operations at Westminster Oaks. Now, at one level, marketing is a big success. We're all here, right? I mean, they did it. They worked with it. At another level, the resident input to marketing has been concerning, and how well marketing is doing getting us here is one of the issues that the council has been concerned about. So let me begin with just a brief context for what I'm about to report on our current report. And that is, I hope you can see this, but this is the cover. Can you? No? Sorry. All I could do was put it as big as I could. This is the cover of a report submitted to council in 2020 by a communications committee, which did a remarkable job of making things happen, reviewing all the communications on campus, not just marketing. Part of it was marketing. And that committee, that report is on MyWLife under the resident council listings, and you could read it if you look at it. It was chaired by Everett Yarborough, and the number of people that are on this list, you can't read, apparently see it, sorry. But that is, includes people like Pat Hogan, Jim Melton, Charlie Nam, Bob Parker. A woman who I didn't recognize at first, who's listed here as Evenly Shelley. What you can't do everything, get everything right on communications. It's Evelyn Shelley at that point, and now she's Elva Melton, of course, and Linda Stelby. So all I wanted to do is say to you that that group, 4 years ago, when they did the survey in late 2019, this remarkable document, I think, said the following about marketing. The communications, that's even worse, right? I thought it would be, so I was going to read it to you. The communications survey revealed, this is 4 years ago, that many residents feel they were given insufficient or inaccurate information by the marketing staff about life at Westminster Oaks. The conditions and policies in place did not necessarily match the marketing staff's sales pitch. And they recommended, in the top, there's a bolder part at the top of this thing, which says, we recommend that the executive director provide ongoing and comprehensive orientation and training for the entire staff of marketing to acquaint them with all aspects of resident life at Westminster Oaks community. That's 4 years ago. As far as we can tell, that was not followed. Then council got back into action on marketing 2 years ago when they formed the ad hoc committee that will now report in a moment. But we already did a report, and that report was available to the committee in February of this year to council. And it's online, and people have read it, and I reported on it earlier. What was done there was we took the materials that marketing was using a year or two ago and put them up, and here's what we had. Maybe you can see there are 2 packets there of materials. They're folders, kind of library-type folders you might see. One in blue is to deal with people who come in and when the deposit is made, and the second one is when they close, the red one. And if you look inside there, you won't, I'm sorry, but there are tons of papers in there jammed into each one of these, and people were given these and so on to work with. So we reviewed all of this, and particularly we reviewed the move-in process at that time, which was not going well a couple of years ago. At that point, there was a head, one of the recent heads of marketing, I think it was 2 or 3 heads ago, that's just a year ago, and they were trying to figure out how to make this work better, and our committee tried to do that. But the other thing the committee had was a good look at the marketing materials. And our conclusion on that one, from that report I'll read to you, is the committee found errors, inaccuracies, and outdated information in these marketing efforts, and a lack of clear, well-organized, relevant, and understandable information essential to prospective residents, with increasing options, we argued, with concern, and competition among independent living communities. All Westminster Oaks marketing communications should be upgraded to reflect the community's long-standing reputation for quality. So that was our recommendation. So a few months later, this council asked that same committee to make another look at how things have been going for the last several months in marketing. And that's the subject of the report that I want to present or give you a summary, a brief overlook at today. And what we did here, this is the report, same ad hoc committee. It was submitted on whatever month this is, October the 2nd. And it reviews only the printed materials. And this time we had 3 packets to look at. I'm not going to spend too much time on these, but here's how they looked this time. Things were changed. Some changes were made. We achieved, as recommended, that the final closing document be put in a 3-ring binder and be a little bit better, better organized and so on. But when we finished it, we were pretty disappointed. And I'll read you our summary that's in the report that's now gone into will be on MyW Life. One part of this, it's a 70-page document, by the way, but one part of it is, in general, we still found documents containing typos, documents that were undated, documents that were drafted years ago and may need updating, and documents that contain conflicting information that's being handed out. So this is not a happy situation to report, but it is what we found. And I will only illustrate, there's a lot of care we did with this report that you can eventually see. I want to read you, I've just read you that. I want to show you 3 examples of why we were disappointed. Okay? 3 of many. So in this document, in this folder, there is, in the final folder, in the nice new binder, is the following information about shopping transportation schedule. Now, you won't be able to read this, I guess, but maybe you can. What it says at the top is, this is the transportation schedule handed to new people coming here. It says at the top, the bold heading is the 1st and 3rd Thursday afternoon of the month. In the middle, a big long section called the 2nd, 4th, and 5th Thursday transportation schedule of the month. And at the bottom, it says the 2nd, 4th, and 5th Thursday schedule of the month, which is overwritten what should be there, the Fridays for the month, which is very important information. An example of lack of care. This was revised in May of 2023 by the marketing group. Okay? Many people come here with pets, And one thing you won't be able to read this for sure, and I didn't intend it, but all I wanted to do was show you that a document in there for the pet owners is, you might think, helpful to you. Unfortunately, it's headed as follows. It is the Westminster Community of Florida Management Guidelines for Establishing Pet Standards. And it says, here are the rules and regulations that shall apply when you establish pet standards. Okay, so for the new people, you might say, why was that put in there in that way? And then the final example I'll give you is Marjorie Turnbull went for a weekend during this period to Gainesville. And she went to a non-Westminster, visit friends at a non-Westminster community. And we were in the throes at that point of trying to understand how to better smooth out the move-in process at Westminster Oaks, which was not going well. And she brought back a document, which maybe you can see, it looks kind of classy, okay? It says, moving made easy at a place called Oak Hammock, okay? It's the University of Florida property, not a Westminster property. And so we looked at this, and the first thing that comes up is quite a nice looking page that is called the Milestones for Steps Along the Way. And it has all kinds of stuff in it, how you make a reservation, how you choose the colors for your place, how you do the walkthrough to see it, and so on and so on. And it lists all the people on the right-hand side who you should contact if you have questions. Okay, it's pretty cool. Thought that's pretty nice. Then it says, the next page in there is milestones for the post-move-in period, and they are what happens on move-in day, who you should contact. Day after move-in, the first week after move-in, 1 week follow-up interaction with staff, and finally, a 1 month follow-up. Okay? Now, that was held in a meeting where people from Orlando were there, the head of marketing was there, the then head of maintenance was there, and everybody said, wow, this is really good. And the head of marketing said, that's really great. We need to adapt that for our people here. And we said, terrific. And that person said, well, that's done in Orlando with the people down in Orlando who do all the artistic sort of stuff. And we'll get that done. So we were pretty high about this. So here's what we saw, and here's what we got. A one-page sheet that, by the way, if you can't read it, is titled Step-by-Step Guide and Timeline and to Becoming a Resident. It's a flow chart, and you look at it and you say, really? And then, in addition to that, in the same packet is, I'm just going to show you, I can't read this, is 4 more pages of documents of how helpful move-in information for Westminster Oaks. It includes misinformation, right and left, about Comcast and so on, but the one that draw our attention is the last one here, and it says, and I'll quote, MyWLife is the internet service provider for Westminster communities of Florida. Now, I think all, no matter what technical level, realize that's not correct. Okay, so these are some examples of why we were disappointed and why the recommendations, you can make recommendations till the cows come home and it isn't clear that anything happens. I will say, however, we're dealing with an internal unit. I will say the Dempsey Mayo Group, tremendous success. They're dealing with an external unit. I'm not sure where the issues are here, but I'll just make that point. All right, so I want to make a closing comment. Our committee, and this is first of all wants to say that marketing has done a lot right. We're all here, as I said at the beginning, and that's fine. And we want to be clear, and this is the end of our current report that will be on MyWLife soon, and in the library. It reads, as this committee observed in its previous report, the ad hoc committee, all of these observations are made in the interest of presenting the most thoroughly vetted and professional documents, disclosures, and information to the prospective and new residents, some of whom were just introduced this morning. Westminster Oaks, this is our text, has always maintained that it provides the highest levels of quality in its services and residences, and the written documents provided to interested parties should reflect that same commitment, is our opinion. And so here's a resident input. And you will see, if you look at our document, concerns there that there's a lack of interest in apparently vetting what's in these documents that are presented to you when you come here. And seems to be a lack of understanding of using new technologies. For example, 4 of the other Westminster communities are already using MyWLife to put marketing materials up rather than jamming them all in these folders and so on. That isn't even mentioned in our situation. So I wanted to make these comments to you as I think a fair representation of what this committee has just tried to do, and I'd be willing to answer any questions from council or from you folks.
I kind of feel the frustration because y'all put a lot of work and time in this, and we all want to, if we know better, we want to do better. And we're all invested. I have quite a bit of money in this establishment, this place that I live. And my frustration comes with the, oh, well, we did it. I need to know what is the expectations from us to the administration on actionable items and deadlines. There just seems to be a floating deadline here that is never ending. And I don't understand why we allow it.
We'll turn that over to the authorities.
The report was accepted from the committee, and it was forwarded to Ms. Shannon last week as a resolution from the council requesting that she provide an action plan back to the council within 30 days as to what they were going to do about these issues. But as Mike mentioned before, this is only an advisory council. You know, we can tell them what we see and what we think needs to be adjusted, but it's their decision. We have no power to enforce it other than to keep bringing it up and reminding them that there are issues. Ms. Marjorie?
I was going to ask Mike. Is it the conclusion, or did your committee feel that perhaps we do not have the professional expertise either here at Westminster Oaks or in Orlando to accomplish the kinds of materials you're talking about?
Well, I can't speak to Orlando. It was just said that that document was going to be fully updated by the people at Orlando who do those things, apparently. I do not know, but I do know that with the addition of Tegan and Chris here in the AV tech aspect, it seems to me that's a step forward. But in terms of people who are overseeing sort of the products that are used by, say, marketing, I'm not sure that there is a proper oversight of that, but that wasn't part of our charge. So I would leave that to council perhaps to deal with, but I do not know the answer to that, but it seems lacking. The evidence would show.
My name is Barbara. I don't know if this is appropriate to ask or not, but the people here are amazing. I mean, the talent pool in this room as I look around is amazing. Is it feasible, if is part of the reticence of having the report responded to, which to me makes great sense as a newbie? I know exactly what you're talking about. Could we offer to help? I mean, would administration want help? I mean, you've got the techies here, you've got the policy folks here, you've got artistic computer people here. Would that be something that would maybe help administration move forward with these kinds of recommendations? Because they're not that hard.
Yeah, I would say that I would say that the 2019 report was an example of what you've just said. The people on that committee, Charlie Nam in particular, a world expert in doing surveys, or honored all over the world, ran that survey. It was a terrific survey. When we did ours, secondly, we relied on Charlie to be our advisor. He didn't do it, but we did it. So there is tremendous expertise here. I think the question becomes, at which point should you say, hey, we paid all this money. Why are we doing this stuff? And I'm not sure what that point is, but here's a history in dealing from council with marketing at 3 different time periods, and it's discouraging. And I do not know how you break into that. But we have certainly talked about it ourselves and worried about it. And at some point, there's volunteer fatigue about doing this stuff. I think there's a saying, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and nothing happens, it has to do with insanity. And I'm not so sure that we've done it 3 times here, and as well as we could do it. And the reports are all there to be read, and apparently they do not grab the people who should be responsible for making those changes. That's all I can say.
Mike, I just want to add to that. I mean, why can't we make a formal proposal to Orlando? We probably have more expertise at this particular community than any other in the state, that the people in this community will help them achieve a quality performance if they will agree to work with us, and they can use our work for all the other communities.
Well,
because it's obvious they don't have the expertise.
Well, I would just say we have tried 3 times to make comments to the people that should react, and that is still where we're at, where we were pretty much. We got a new 3-ring binder and a little bit of changes around the edges, but there isn't a grasp of let's do something that should be done, in my opinion, our opinion. Patsy?
This may affect only some of you. I've been here 23 years. And by the way, if you want to know anything, come ask me. But anyhow, I've always had a dog out here. When we first came in, we had to make a deposit of $200 for the dog we had. It wasn't cookie right now. It was back then it was popcorn. But, and every summer, once a year, you had to take all the information from your veterinarian that they'd had all their shots, all this kind of stuff, and they had a file in the main office. Well, I continued to do this summer by summer, and then one day I walked in and I said, here, this is stuff to go in the file. What file? I said, the one with dogs. What file? Okay?
Sonny?
Okay. As a member of the committee and being extremely frustrated, having indicated in the first report and as well as in 2020 what changes need to be made, this year the committee actually did a side-by-side review. This is what was presented before, and these are still the mistakes. Now that's like me grading a paper and saying, this is what you did wrong. Exactly. I mean, we spelled the word correctly or fixed the typo. So if someone is not interested in taking that information and fixing it, I'm not going to do that job for them. I'm retired. I don't know about the rest of you, but it is not my job. And I personally am extremely frustrated that the changes have not been made. That's,
Okay.
I don't know what else to say.
Okay. Anybody else have a question here? Yeah.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I know in the legislators implementing legislation that makes this place run and makes the whole statewide Westminster system run. If they are not attending, if our administration is not attending to our needs, we need to look into this legislative implementing legislation and find out who we have to talk to in that kind of a committee.
Thank you. And I would just say in conclusion that the committee wants to be clear that marketing is doing a good job in many respects. I mean, the way we put it sometimes is they march to a different drummer than the residents. They march to Orlando. Orlando gives them marketing instructions and they carry them out. We, our marketing committee, were not allowed to see those instructions. We do not know what they're being told. But all I'll say is when you've got over 90% accommodation, the beds are being filled, and we're all here, and we enjoy being here. So marketing has to have some positives said about it, and I would be the first to do that. There is around the edge stuff that we feel should be better quality, and maybe we're just nibbling away at stuff that isn't all that important, where the bottom line is the important thing, perhaps. But on the other hand, we're proud of this operation, and we're proud to be here. We've invested money in it, and we would like to think that it was run at the highest quality level, and that's, I think, the point of these over 4 years now, attempts by this council to bring some attention to what's not being done or should be done better at marketing. And that's the way I would leave it, and urge you to look at this stuff and see what you want to do, talk to council members, but the committee has done, I think, what it was intended to do. So, thank you.
Well, thank you, Mike, and his committee have put a lot of time and effort into this, and hopefully we're going to be able to move it forward. Apparently didn't make it on the agenda is Mr. Bob Parker coming up to discuss something going on with the crosswalk out front. This is different than the raised crosswalks, Mr. Bob.
Well, moving on to something a little more positive, I think as we've already heard, you can see and feel the results of the raised crosswalks on Dempsey Mayo Road, and they seem to be doing their job. At least it's helping a lot. So I'm following up with the Traffic Issues Committee and asking the council to adopt some recommendations. Thank you. We have the picture up now. It's perfect. Some further recommendations that the committee has had. The raised crosswalks are in. The next project for the county is to move the crosswalk at our entrance that runs parallel to Dempsey Mayo, to move it further away from the traffic lanes. The consultant for the county has recommended that the crosswalk be moved right next to the sign. And let's see if we can go back a second. There's a sign on the right, and you're standing about where the county has been recommended that they put the crosswalk. The committee has gone out and looked at it. They think it's not an ideal spot because you can't see cars coming. In this case, you're heading north. You can't see cars coming out, particularly in the left-hand lane. There's a blind spot. The sight lines are not good. We think the consultant did not really spend enough time vetting this out. So we're suggesting, first of all, excuse me, that the crosswalk be moved about 3 feet toward the road from the sign. It's a much better sight lines. It's still quite far from the traffic lanes, and it'll still be safe. Number two, the consultant also recommended that it be raised. We think that may not be necessary any longer because traffic is moving more slowly, and it will create some problems. Number one, if you're going in and out, particularly turning in from the north or south, coming in, it'll produce approaching the crosswalk and the ramps at a non-perpendicular angle. You're at an angle, and you're going to be rocking back and forth. It could be dangerous. It's going to be uncomfortable at the least. We don't think that's necessary, so we're suggesting that the crosswalk not be raised. Thirdly, there is room for a barrier. Look at the diagram there. You see the yellow section in the middle? That's Dempsey Mayo Road's going up and down the page, north and south. You see the sign and meandering way shown there. The red dotted lines are where the present sidewalk is designated, or part of the sidewalk extending into the roadway. That's what's so close to the roadway, we're getting it further back toward the sign. You see the yellow provision can be a concrete curb height barrier. So when you're in that island between the entrance and the exit lanes, you're protected, and you have enough time to look and see whether somebody's coming out or going in. It's much safer that way. So we're suggesting we put an island in there. And we think that those changes will be much better than what the county's consultants have recommended. We're not sure, the county's in the process of designing this right now. We're not sure what they have ended up with. But the bottom line is, Mr. Chairman and members of the council, that we've presented to you before, is make it 10 feet wide, as the consultants have suggested, locate it 3 feet west or closer to the Dempsey Mayo Road of the sign, leave it at street level, and construct a curb height safety barrier. We think these changes will make it as ideal as it can be, and we would like the council to approve those suggested changes to the county's plan.
Thank you, Mr. Bob, and your committee for the good work. I'll accept a motion. I got Richard. Richard's going to restate it. Richard's going to restate it.
Am I on? Am I on?
Yeah.
All right. I move that the council approve the committee's report as outlined here by Bob Parker, adopt its recommendations, and forward them to the county administrator for consideration.
Second by Marjorie. Any discussion by the board? Ms. Beverly?
Sorry, I'm just a little confused. The diagram that we're looking at is, the location of the sidewalk is the existing location? The two red parallel lines? And the sidewalk proposed is to the right of that, on the other side of that yellow barricade? Because you can't really see anything there. That's why I just wanted to confirm that. Okay, then, thank you.
Part of the reason for that, you see that shadow, that was the county, one of their surveyors out there looking at that. So if you're walking right next to that sign and that person is an automobile coming out, you couldn't see it as a pedestrian. So that's the reason for moving it back a little bit, so then for the pedestrian to be able to see the car coming out of Westminster Oaks. Discussion by the residents. Yes, sir. We'll get you a mic. Hold on.
I might be misunderstanding, but that barrier, Bob, is that just in the middle there? That barrier might need to go the whole way, raised or something. I've been a person that's been hit by someone turning in like that, and so we need more protection for someone that's still crossing the walk, in my opinion. I don't know what it would be, maybe the raised. Unfortunately, that could be a problem, as you said, but I think the barrier needs to be the whole length of the sidewalk, because I've been hit myself like that.
The yellow portion there is actually the height of a curb. It'd probably be painted yellow like the rest of the curb there, so it would be very visible to folks coming and going, either exiting or entering Meandering Way. We can't put a curb across the whole entrance, of course. We could raise it as the county is proposing to do, or maybe proposing to do, but we think that's not necessary, and we'd present problems that we would not like to face. That's the thought of the committee.
Remember also that you would be asking to have a barrier going across active traffic lanes. That would be a hindrance to traffic coming in and out. Other questions from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, if anybody's already driven, when you're coming up from, Mahan Drive and turn right into our place, it's really awkward just because of the crosswalk, the new crosswalk. So to put another one would really be like going over the Alps or something.
That was the feeling of the committee, that we have the one crosswalk that should slow people down so that folks have a chance to see cars turning in, but to add another one would be a bit much.
Yes, ma'am.
I know it doesn't have anything to do with the work you've done, at least I guess it doesn't, but where we place the cancer sign, for instance, Cancer Month, or signs like that, sometimes I find that winds up being a barrier to being able to see. If they put that forward enough, that makes it more difficult to see the traffic coming.
Yes, several people have commented that does obstruct your view for traffic coming from the south particularly.
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
That wide shaded gray area, is that the point at which cars will stop? And is it too close to the walkway?
There are regulations telling exactly where that has to be. It's not ideal. Where the county would put the crosswalk, the stop bar, that's what it's called, would have you stopping so the car is right in the middle of the crosswalk. There, it should give you some visibility, but frankly, you're going to have to go beyond that crosswalk stop bar to be able to see, to get what's coming from the south. There's no getting around that. So it's not ideal either way.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Barbara. I'm concerned about the little curb thing. As somebody who falls over curbs a lot, if it's that low and it's only curb height, are you expecting cars to see that to help them not run over us? Because I don't know
Yes.
if cars will see something that low.
It's going to be painted yellow, probably.
Well,
and,
yeah. But it's also a potential trip hazard if it's that low. I mean, I'm not sure what the solution is for that, but
There should be no pedestrians in that area at all.
I thought that was a crosswalk through.
The
where dots
crosswalk
are.
is to its right.
To the right of it, correct?
To the right of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, where the dots are is where the crosswalk is.
right. Okay.
And is it contiguous with the curb, or is there gonna be like grass between the curb and the crosswalk?
No, there's not room for any landscaping there.
It's contiguous.
For example, to orient you, the dotted red or magenta lines, that's the location of the present sidewalk designation that's right next to the traffic lane. It's on the sidewalk. It's on the asphalt at the moment.
Other questions? For the motion from the council, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, Ms. Shannon.
Good morning. I want to say thank you to Mr. Rashat and the committee for your marketing report. I agree with you. It should be of the highest caliber, and we will review the side-by-side this upcoming week of your report. I will say from the initial report, I think you have seen some improvements, and I'll give an example. One of those would be our JCO certification and our outstanding survey. I think one of the issues that was related to the report, listed in the report, was quality, being proud of the quality care that we provide in our health center. So I do believe that some improvements have been made, and this is one of the ones that's outstanding and needs to be made. I also want to say thank you for your contributions to the gift fund. For many of our team members, this is huge for them. It really makes their Christmas. It is their Christmas, and I just want to say thank you again for the dollars that you give to our team members. We're up to about 370 now. Prior to COVID, we were down in the 290s, probably about 290, 295, and have built up back our team members so that we can provide the care and services that you're entitled to by your contract. So just want to share that with you as well and to say thank you. You may or may not know that our chaplain, Taylor Phillips, has decided to retire. And so his last day will be November 10th, and we'll miss him. He is helping us vet our new chaplains. We have a couple of interested people in the area, and there are about 12 applicants right now. About 3 are qualified. We think, qualified. Well, you know, it's strange to get applicants from New Hampshire and New York and Iowa and Kentucky, and I think they think they're coming down here to retire. That's what I think. I'm like, there's a lot more work here. So we do have some local folks in the area, and we're really, really pleased to meet with them and take it from there. New fitness director, Meredith Swain, will begin next week, and so we're very excited to bring her on board. She's also very enthusiastic about the Westminster Games, and I hope you will be too. So the Westminster Games will be in the new year in February, and so we would love for you to sign up and come and play with us. You may be aware that not only do you take surveys for your quality of life, but so do our staff. And our staff just took a pulse survey about how they feel about working at Westminster, all of the communities in Westminster Oaks. Last year, we had 43% of our staff participate. This year, we had 80% participate. So we are really thrilled that our staff have a voice, and we showed them through our call-em-alls and told them in staff meetings and team member town meetings that we really wanted to hear from them. And we're really thrilled that they decided to share how they feel about working here. So 80% turnout is amazing. So we're one of the top that had that response rate. And so we're very excited, and we'll share that with them with a party and say thank you. Excuse me. So many of you who are familiar with the health center may remember Carly Jewell. Carly Jewell was a team member. She went from working in assisted living to activities assistant, became an interim activity director, and then moved to another community and became the activity director there. Well, she and her fiance are moving back to Tallahassee, and she has accepted a job with our health center. So she is going to be our new activity director for the health center, and she's a known entity, and I think that that will really boost the level of engagement with our residents in the health center. So we're very happy to have her come on board. Tim Osborne, I mentioned him in our previous meeting. He's a retired lieutenant commander with the Navy. He's educated aeronautics engineer, and he's our new maintenance director. He started today. So he's already been to HR to get his badge, and is touring the campus, has already stopped by to say hello. I've introduced him to Sherry and some of the key people that he'll be working very closely with. So Tim Osborne is here today and getting oriented. We're going to have a medication destruction day. It will be in our Health Resource Center. It'll be November 2nd from 9 to noon. And you can bring all your old medications or discontinued medications, any liquids, any aerosols. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of that, because people have been asking those questions, what can I bring? Now, if you have a COVID kit, you can actually put that in the trash. It does not have to go through destruction, but the others can and will. And I think I told you last time, we had some medications dating back to the 70s when we collected them. And so if you have old medication, it's time to let it go. So Anyway, we will be happy to take that off your hands, thanks to Westminster Pharmacy. On November 3rd, we're going to be honoring our 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and now 40-year team members. So you may not know, we actually have people who've worked here for 40 years. So Leroy Williams, who works in dining services, dining tends to have the longest tenure along with assisted living, and we have a 40-year-old team member that we're going to honor right here in the McGuire Center. I hope Lenny can come and attend. We've asked our previous resident council presidents to come and attend and really get the flavor of how we honor our team members. And we share personal highlights about them, personal stories about them, and sometimes shed tears because of all the wonderful things they've done over the years and their level of dedication through the years. Update on Perry Center, second floor. Those of you who visit the Perry Center second floor, you'll notice a lot of new ceiling tiles and bright lights on the second floor. So all the light fixtures have been replaced. The regular ceiling tiles have been replaced. We're working on the cutouts, so we will have those. And then we'll start on the carpet, and we'll make sure that everybody's aware of when the carpet is replaced so that they'll know what to do, how to spend their day. So Emerald Chase, the Homeowners Association has been established or reestablished. And with the help of Stephen Dye and Hank Keith, that has been established. So we actually have an HOA in Emerald Chase. We're filing all the documents, and we'll be able to then set a budget and so forth so that we can care for the property properly. One other thing I'd like to share is we've also, on behalf of our team members, have expanded our tuition reimbursement so that anybody who is a team member with Westminster Oaks who wants tuition reimbursement, they want to change careers, they want to advance careers, they want to get an additional certification, can do that with the expanded guidelines that we have for them. And so we sent that information out last week to share, and we will continue to share and make that offering to our team members. We also are aware that you have a scholarship, and so with that scholarship, we're extremely appreciative that our team members basically have two options to advance their career and change their life circumstances for the better. So we're really, really happy to be able to offer to that to them. Last thing, COVID numbers for AL need to be updated, and we're going to send out a correction to Friday's memo related to the cases that we have in memory support. As you can well imagine, keeping COVID contained in memory support is quite the challenge. And so we do have cases there, and so we want to make sure that you get that updated information, especially if you're a sparkler or you're somebody who visits assisted living regularly. So we want to make sure that you're aware so that you can have the protection that you need if you're going there, or decide to wait until more people are off of quarantine. So are there any questions I can answer for you? And I will try. Yes, sir. I believe it's November 2nd, but we'll publish it in the weekly. We will publish the vaccination dates in the weekly. Yes, sir.
Would you repeat the med destruction day and time, please?
I'm sorry, I think that was November 2nd. We will put that in the weekly for you, so that you'll have all of those dates. Vaccination, you have a vaccination date, and then you have a med destruction date. We'll get that in the weekly so you can sign up and come. Yes, ma'am.
You send that vaccination date in email about it, because some of us have been waiting and would just as soon go ahead and get it at Publix if it's going to be that long.
Okay, so I'll have Lynn email it out.
That'd be helpful. Thank you.
I'll do it. All right. And then any other questions I can help answer for you? Okay, I have sent that to Lynn. Anything else? We got a lot going on, so try to keep it straight and get it in the weekly so you've got it in an email on vaccinations. But I think the drug destruction, that'll be a lot of fun. It always is, because we love looking at the dates. All right, anything else I can help you with? answer? Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. Do remind you that the shred event is on Friday, the 27th of October, 10 to 12. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to remind people that the Wellness 2023 program on breast cancer awareness, this is coming Friday, and I know we have a lot of survivors here. We have a good program, and you'll see more about it around the campus whenever you see these in your neighborhood.
Thank you, Ms. Greta. Okay, shred event coming up, and then the med destruction, I think that's Thursday, the 2nd of November, from 9 to noon. Ms. Shannon said liquids and aerosols. That's not your hairspray and some of that other stuff. This is medicine that comes in liquid or aerosol form, because in the past, the clinic hasn't taken that type of medicine. So pills, liquids, and sprays, get rid of that old stuff, and please don't put it in the water stream. Turn it in, Mr. Everett. Okay. Any comments from the audience? Yes, ma'am, in the back.
The art change out for the left bank will be on Thursday, the 26th, from 11 to 12:30.
Thank you. Anybody else? Monday night music. Yes, sir.
You only have 11 days left to find your $5 to bring to the shred event.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Amelia.
At FSU, the horse and the spear. The horse will not be here, but the rider and the program director will be in the pool house at 4 on Thursday.
Anything from the council? Having none, we're ahead of schedule, so we're adjourned.
Are these meetings recorded from the AV in the back? I mean, it would be great if Mike's report could be sent to Orlando.
Well, they will get the written report.
No, but I mean, his
Yeah,
presentation
yeah,
was
that I
so
don't,
great.
I don't think we've got a problem with the recording system. We're trying to get the thing updated. Chris?